All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture Calls Dialing into the Future, where we discuss everything on organizational culture and technology. Today, we are in conversation with Dr. Amy Redmond. Amy is the co founder of Human Wonder Unlimited. She's also the director of innovation and psychology at Clever Together, an occupational psychologist with a PhD in the psychology of innovation. Her driving ambition is to help people be the best they can to be at work, and she uses a blend of psychology and innovation expertise to help organizations and groups work together more effectively to co-create ideas and approaches for realizing positive, innovative change in their work. Amy has worked globally with organizations, and at present, her work is predominantly focused on the UK healthcare and public sectors. She blends a deep knowledge of innovation with her psychology expertise, and these combined areas of knowledge allow her to provide organizations with unique insights and solutions for building innovation capability at the organizational team and individual levels. An absolute delight to have you on our show, Amy. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thanks for that lovely introduction. It's great to see
you. That's fantastic. I did give a brief introduction of who you are, but could you tell our audience a bit about yourself and what is your current role and what you're pursuing?
Yes, absolutely. So my background is I've trained as a business psychologist many years ago, and during that time I became really interested in the field of psychology. So I went on to take a PhD in the space of the psychology of innovation. So innovation is the driving force of business success. It's what allows companies to thrive. It's what allows whole economies to thrive. But what I've learned over the years through my blend of psychology and innovation knowledge is that ultimately innovation is a sociological process, and that its success is determined by the people who push it forward through challenges and setbacks and with determination and grit and perseverance. And so that's really the reason why my colleagues and I set up a company called Human Wonder, which is really about, through coaching and therapy and understanding the dynamics of teams, helping them to reach their greatest ambitions and to reach their potential, both as individuals and also as groups working together towards innovative goals.
Right. That's fantastic. When I was understanding a bit about your profile, I see that you have had such a long experience in understanding, organizational culture and working with so many organizations. So, one of the questions that I have is, how exactly do you see work culture evolving, especially, in this hybrid work environment, which is probably looking to stay here for a while? How do you see work culture evolving in such an environment?
It's a really good question, and things have changed a lot, haven't they, for everyone? And in some ways for the worse, but in some ways for the better. So, we all have this opportunity for this, or many of us have this opportunity now for a much more hybrid approach to work. And organizations have had to learn the hard way, really, that it is possible to have people working productively at home. And what most organizations are finding isn't that people are less productive, they're actually almost too productive. They're spending too much time in front of screens and on calls, and that's having an impact on people's well-being. So I think this sort of the culture that we're seeing emerging is really positive, in that really good organizations are understanding the need to offer their employees flexibility and agility. And with that comes a need for organizations to trust their employees, to trust them to, work hard and do the things that they're supposed to do. And in most cases, that is absolutely the case. I think organizations can, for the most part, and should trust their employees. I think there's a need for employees to reflect quite deeply on what it is that they want as well. So when we're offered these options in terms of a kind of more hybrid approach, if we have the opportunity to choose whether or not we work from home or whether we work in an office, I think there's a responsibility on employees to really think quite hard about what is right for them. So I think there's been this, many of us feel very comfortable working from home. I'm a mother of 2 children, and it's been absolutely wonderful for me to be able to, be here every day when they get back from school and have much more quality time with them. At the same time, I'm really aware of the fact that I get a lot of benefit from seeing people in person. It's often those chats over a coffee that are the moments of magic that really make me feel excited and this sense of wonder. And so I'm aware that although it's important for me to spend time at home and to be able to work flexibly, I also need to make sure that I do the right thing for me and for my team and my colleagues and my clients. And part of that is, being in face-to-face situations with them as well.
Right. I absolutely agree to that. And one of the points that you told, that the amount of flexibility that it provides is fantastic, and any person can choose to work from anywhere that they choose to.
Yeah, great.
There's this one thing that is always strikes my mind, which is a quote by Gary Vee, where he always tells, company culture is the backbone of any successful organization. So I ask question. So do you really think that company culture is the backbone of any successful organization? How much of a role does company culture actually play?
I think an organization's success is dependent predominantly on its organizational culture. So our culture can either support people to thrive or it can support people to fail. And so in my time working with people, particularly in my role as a coach, which is a role that I really love, I hear stories of organizations that have really taken someone who's been not particularly confident but skilled, and through that culture allowed them to grow and thrive and achieve absolutely incredible things for themselves as individuals, but also for the organization. The other sadder side of culture is that many of the people who come to me for coaching, for example, come to me because they're working in a culture that has broken them. And I think as an employer, we all have, it's our duty to ensure that the people that come to work for us are protected. It's our duty because everybody has the right to feel well and happy at work. But from an organizational performance perspective, when people feel well and they're thriving and they're able to present new ideas and challenge the status quo and really feel this sense of belonging, they will perform really well, and you will see the organizational performance skyrocket on the back of a culture that supports people to be themselves, to do their best, and to be the best that they can be. So I don't think that the importance of organizational culture can ever be underestimated. It is invaluable.
Right. One of the things that is also scaled up, post this pandemic situation is the adaptability of technology and how important data has become. I think that's one of the things that we saw scaling up exponentially in the past couple of years. So do you think data and technology play a key role in determining organizational culture? Because I've seen that a lot of people are able to build cultures entirely in digital workspaces, and the amount of accessibility that technology has given is enormous. So do you think data and technology play a key role in organizational culture?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting and important question. And it's a question that's twofold, isn't it? Data and technology. So I'm going to answer the first part of that question first around data. So I've built my career really on research. I understand people because I've been able to collect evidence and data and listen to people about how they feel and why they behave in the way they do and what really are the things that propel them to move forwards. So I've you know, my PhD was very much data driven. The work that my colleagues and I do at Clever Together is absolutely founded on our ability to collect good data and to really understand what it is that people need and what they want. So data is great. It's about how we use it that matters. So data is meaningless if we're not interpreting it in the right way. And by data, I mean, you know, figures and numbers, but also I like qualitative data personally. So as a psychologist, it's really important to me to really, really hear what people believe and think and use their insight to work out solutions that are going to work for the people that have shared that insight with me. So I think rich data that's used well and interpreted subjectively, but also as objectively as you can, is absolutely crucial to the future of organizations. And so your second question about technology, I always link everything to people because that's what I do. People, I believe, are what determines an organization's success. So, you know, technology for technology's sake isn't useful, but there's so much technology now that is really focused on value, on adding value to others, on helping others achieve their goals and achieve their ambitions. And given the way the world is going and this need for much greater agility and flexibility, any technology that supports people in being able to flourish and grow and use their time. And, you know, actually time's an important one, isn't it? Because what we've learned through the pandemic is the importance of people being able to use their time in ways that matter to them. We are a combination of who we are at work, but also our family and our friends and our interests and our skills and our hobbies. And good organizations embrace the whole person. They embrace the people who are in their multifaceted, you know, uniqueness. And technology that allows us to do that, that allows people to have enough time to do their work, but also enough time to spend with their family and their friends, creates much more productive, happy and well workforce. So technology that can add value in that way, I think, is really exciting, and it's the future.
Right. You know, I absolutely love that you broke down the question into two parts, which is data and technology, and how each of them have a very different role to play in building the organizational culture to where it is today. There is one question that we ask all of our guests, and one thing that I've observed is that every single person has given a different answer for this, which
Okay.
is what does it take to become an employer of choice?
Oh.
You know, but I have heard very different answers from different people. So I want to know what, according to Amy Redmond, is
Okay.
the right way to become an employer of choice, because
So
obviously we have so many
so
organizations at this.
again, it's a great question, and I love the question because it focuses on the person and what's important to the person. So it's not organizationally focused, it's people focused. For me, it's about belonging, actually. So it's about everybody feeling that they can bring their true selves to work. So their true thoughts, their greater skill sets, their ambitions, you know, this being able to just be yourself when you walk through the doors, or either virtual or physically, or place of work. So I think historically organizations have not been set up to create a sense of belonging. They have been set up to, often quite hierarchical, where there are really prescribed ways of behaving, prescribed ways of being, things that you can do and things that you can't do. And belonging is about just embracing the person for who they are. Obviously there are rules that we all have to follow, and etiquette that has to be followed at work, and things that have to get done. But when we feel that we belong, that we can speak openly and ask questions and be ourselves, this is where innovation can really thrive, because innovation is founded on the principles of a multifaceted skill set. So people bringing diverse perspectives, unique opinions, unique skill sets, and bringing all of these things together in this sort of melting pot of creativity and passion and drive and perseverance towards goals. And so I think for me, that's it. I think another thing that's really important from an organizational perspective is creating a sense of inclusivity, so everybody feels welcome, and this is closely connected to belonging. But also psychological safety is something that's becoming understood to be more and more important in the world of work. So creating a culture and a climate where everybody feels safe to speak up, to challenge, to question, to admit when they've made a mistake. And this creates this culture where we learn from everything. We learn from the good and we learn from the bad, because that old cliche that we learn more from our failures than from our successes is absolutely true.
Right, fantastic. An absolute pleasure to have you on our show, Amy. And I love that we ended it with creating a culture of belongingness and innovation. So I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. Are there any final words that you want to leave us
with? It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amy Redmond, everybody. And hey, if you watched it until now, make sure you leave a like and you follow us on all our channels, and leave a comment on what you think. And we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.